Well, now for our Friday night chat about all things economic, we're joined by economics correspondent Stephen Long. And Stephen, I worry when you're here that there's bad news, and indeed I think it's come to pass, the latest US job numbers.
Your worries are well-founded, Ali. Zero jobs growth in the month of August in the United States on the official measure, zero. And my understanding is that you have to go back to 1945 to find a worse monthly result. In addition, the Bureau of Labour Statistics has sharply revised down jobs growth in the previous 2 months. Naturally, you saw share markets dive, people jumping into bonds as a safe haven. It's a really bad result for the US economy. Suggests that if it isn't indeed in recession already, it may be headed back into recession. Very, very difficult circumstances for the Obama administration and for the world.
Was anyone tipping zero growth?
I think that there were some uber pessimists who thought that it might be negative, but the median forecast, which was seen in the markets as being very pessimistic, was that there would be 68,000 additional jobs added in the month. So it's a very bad result.
Now this, of course, comes out at the same time as we've got more bad news from Europe, in particular from Greece.
Tonight, the Greek Budget Office has come out and said that Greece will miss its targets for reducing its budget deficit and trying to rein in its debt. They say it's going to be significantly worse, which raises questions about whether the Greek bailout can go ahead because it's transparently not meeting the conditions. In addition, in Italy, they've done what many see as a fudge in terms of their austerity measures, and they're not putting in tax measures on the rich that were promised, and so it raises questions there again about the sustainability of their position and their debt. We have at the moment really a sovereign debt banking spiral where the debt just isn't being reined in. The banks are clearly undercapitalised. They're exposed to any write-downs on government debt, and that could create a new banking crisis. So they seem to be in a real downward cycle, and it's hard to see how they pull out of it. Things aren't good in Europe, and the funding costs for banks are going up sharply. The Italian and Spanish banks are only keeping going because they're tapping the European Central Bank for money. In Greece, there's been a flight of deposits from banks. So ironically, profits have gone up because they're not paying interest on deposits. They're getting all the money from the central bank, but clearly a very bad situation.
And of course, there's also a legal challenge in Germany, isn't there, to Germany's role in any rescue, and Germany is really the purse of Europe.
On the 7th of December, a key court decision will decide whether Germany participating in the bailout of Greece is constitutional. Now, the court's been pragmatic in the past on these matters, but if it rules against it, then that really scuppers the bailout.
You'd have to have a bet that that's likely, given this news, that they're not going to meet their targets. Well, good money after bad?
Who knows what the court will do, but clearly it seems that the situation is at a very, very dangerous inflection point in Europe. The question now really, I think, in Europe is whether we see merely a recession or whether this really tumbles into a banking crisis and a credit crunch, and whether those play out in the near term or perhaps next year. Things are that serious over there. Of course, China's still rocking along, and 7 of our 10 top trading partners are in Asia. But if it gets bad enough, it will hit Asia too.
Yeah, of course it will. Stephen Long, many thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.